This is the story of three chimp brothers.
Big smile.
7-year-old Mr Muggins.
Give me 5! Give Muggins 5!
His older brother, 12-year-old Sonny. And baby brother Buddy. These three brothers are the last in a long line of circus chimps. Now, each of their futures lies in the balance. Whether or not animals should perform for us in the circus has become a controversial issue. There are those who say we shouldn't force animals to perform for our entertainment, while others say they enjoy it. And these children don't know what the fuss is about. They just want to see the chimp. For 150 years, the Ridgway Family Circus has toured New Zealand with their chimps and other animals, performing for children just like these. But the circus has changed since the days when everyone flocked to marvel at the exotic animals performing under the big top. Now there are only two Ridgway brothers, each with their own little circus.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, and welcome to Charlie Ridgway's new circus.
Charlie was born into the circus, and he still delights the crowd with tricks passed down from father to son for 5 generations. His memories of a circus childhood still linger.
I had a dream the other night, not so long ago, that I won lotto, and the first thing I did was went out and got 3 little elephants. You know, that just shows you how silly I am, you know, towards animals. I love to have elephants. I miss their smell. I miss the sounds of them, and you know, at night time they'll trumpet out or something like that. And as I say, it might sound silly, but even the elephant smell, like when their manure, it's the same thing as lions. It's the odour. It's just something that's in me, I suppose.
Charlie was training lions while other Kiwi kids were playing beach cricket and marbles.
I trained my first fox terrier dog when I was about 12, but I've been handling what we call exotics like lions and elephants since I was about 16. I worked my first set of lions when I was 17.
These days, Charlie has given up the lions, bears and tigers, but not the chimps.
Come back! Keep coming!
Now, wherever the circus goes, with them goes the Ridgway's 2 sons, James and 7-year-old chimp, Mr Muggins.
We decided to start this little circus up more, not so much as a business, but as more as a bit of a lifestyle, because I like the life. You know, I know nothing else. And we tour the rural areas where the kids don't get a lot of live entertainment.
Charlie and Carolyn took Muggins from his mother Lola when he was 15 months old. This is normal practice in circuses when chimps are to be trained to perform. Carolyn, new to the circus world, took on a very different role with Muggins, that of devoted mum. But their first meeting wasn't easy.
Of course, it was new to me and it was new to him. And so I picked him up as I would a baby and I sort of sat him on my lap, and he promptly bit one of my breasts. And Charlie was laughing. And it wasn't hard, it was a little nip. He had little tiny teeth then, and I said, what do I do? What do I do? While I was holding my breath in pain. And he said, don't let him go. You have to be confident. So I said no, and I put my finger into the corner of his mouth, and I said, no, don't do that. Nothing's going to happen. We're going to be good mates and all the rest of it. So he promptly swung around and bit the other one.
6 years later, Mr Muggins is still at the heart of their circus family life. But these days, having a chimp brings its own set of problems.
In the last few years, we've had the certain people out there saying we shouldn't have animals doing things and all that. A lot of those people, what hands-on experience have they really had with these type of animals, or with any animals really, when it's all said and done?
It's not a happy chap, it's not a little happy chap.
Charlie, confident of his history and knowledge of animals, and Carolyn's undoubted devotion to Muggins, feels it's unfair that their chimp has become the focus of public attention. The family believe they should be left alone to get on with the circus life they know better than anybody else.
Come down here, stop being a girl. Come down here. Come and hold Dad's hand. Come on, come on. Come on. You want to come down here? It's all right. It's all right. Don't wave at them.
Charlie's prepared to admit animal rights activists have changed circus practices.
Now you're looking at my thumb.
They've done a bit of good, you know. They woke up our ideas, and they have made cage sizes, you know, to a certain degree. The different animal codes that we've drawn up in New Zealand the last 12 or 14 years, you know, things have improved for the animals. And I think that, you know, that's been a very good thing. What you might say, they've made us a little bit honest. But, you know, a lot of the animal activists, they don't really know that, they haven't had hands-on experience with these animals. And I don't really want to get into anything really heavy with them, but I always say they come from a deprived childhood because their mum and dad didn't take them to a circus.
Animal activists generally, and I'm speaking from my opinion here, would believe that animals have rights, and that we should respect those rights by not putting them in situations that potentially compromise their welfare or their well-being. I don't believe that animals have rights, but I certainly believe that we have a duty as humans to ensure that their welfare is taken care of, is adequate, is satisfactory, and is at a high level. So it's a rights versus welfare type debate. That's the difference.
Animal activists would prefer the circus just didn't exist at all.
Young children are getting the wrong ideas about animals, that they're commodities, there for their fun and pleasure. We don't believe this is the right way to treat animals. And there are plenty of other alternatives. Humans can do all sorts of wonderful things and make people gasp, make people laugh. Why does an animal have to be used?
I tell you what, you're all a bloody pack of idiots. You're spoiling kids' fun. You have a look at that animal. He's happy, contented, and bloody well fed. I suppose they're all blimmin' vegetarians.
Push the pedals. Good boy. Oh, what a good boy.
Chimpanzees share 98% of the same genes as humans. They are remarkably like us. And like us, their need for love and acceptance within a family is vital for their well-being. Carolyn and Charlie have always provided that for Muggins.
Oh, is this right? Is it time for this now, is it?
He's a lot more independent now, of course, than what he was then, because he relied on me wholly for everything. When he was little, there wasn't anything that I didn't have to do, because he was in nappies, because he lived most of the time in the caravan, so I was changing his nappies. I was cleaning him like I would have done a baby. I've still got his first 2 teeth that he lost. I've got them in a jar in the cupboard.
But some people will argue that Muggins should live like a wild chimp.
You know the rules. He's not used to having to fend for himself and sit up a tree all day or whatever they do. He's not used to having to forage for his food. His idea of going to get food is ready-made, in the fridge, cut up, it's all there, open the door, and there it is. He doesn't, I don't think he needs to have to do that sort of thing. I think he's doing fine going to a fridge.
Yum.
Carolyn and Charlie are aware that though Muggins is very like them, he's also a wild animal. They know he'll grow to be many times stronger than a human being, and they're careful not to let strangers get too close to him.
Our code of welfare recommends that chimpanzees over the age of 7, especially male chimpanzees, shouldn't be in circuses, because that's the time that they're starting to enter puberty, or they may in fact be in puberty by that stage. They tend to become more aggressive, so they become less easy to handle, if you like. We discussed at length what we might do to address that situation, and castration was an option that we explored, and we asked various experts or zoo people in this area, was that a possibility?
In consultation with MAF, Charlie and Carolyn agreed to have Muggins castrated.
In retrospect, did we do the right thing? I think we did. I guess it's hard to have a control on that situation, obviously, but it certainly seems to have worked.
When brothers Charlie and Carrie were growing up, their family circus was the biggest in the Southern Hemisphere. The Ridgways had every kind of exotic animal, and they were never without chimps. Older brother Charlie was always the one with the animals. His brother Carrie yet plays the clown. Now both brothers have little mini circuses, but avoid any contact with each other. The brothers had already fallen out when Carrie took ownership of the chimp's elderly mother, Lola. She was the Ridgway Circus breeding chimp for 30 years.
Lola was a lovely animal. She was very sociable. I think she was very relaxed, she was very laid back. She reminded me of a lovely elderly aunt or a lovely grandmother. She was a very peaceful, maternal sort of chimpanzee.
In December of 1999, Lola's mate had recently been euthanized. She was also nursing her newest Ridgway chimp, 2-year-old Buddy, Mr Muggins' younger brother.
This is not private property. Get off!
When animal rights activists went public about Lola's living conditions, Carrie responded.
Well, I don't see that I'm really in the wrong. I own the chimpanzees. I've had an offer to actually purchase both of the chimpanzees. I've said yes.
Despite MAF receiving a lot of criticism that we could have stopped it, the reality is that we couldn't. It was just like me selling my dog to somebody in Australia, or a racehorse trainer selling his horse to somebody in another country. It happens every day.
Lola was sold to a Samoan circus owner who separated mother and baby. While Buddy languished in a cage, his mother Lola was never taken out of her travelling cage. The vet who came to examine Buddy didn't even know another chimp was there. After several days, Lola was dead, having not set foot on Samoan soil and having been able to listen to her infant son, but not see him. Like Charlie, younger brother Carrie Ridgway has carried on the circus tradition of having a performing chimp. Though he sold the chimp's mother Lola and her newest baby Buddy, he kept the eldest of our 3 chimp brothers, 12-year-old Sonny.
I've known Buddy, Sonny and Mr Muggins since they were babies, and I knew their mother, so I've known them for about 15 years. I think that he knows me. I feel that he recognises me. We obviously don't see each other on a everyday basis, but I guess the way that we would greet each other is obviously by me talking and perhaps by him vocalising. We would also touch each other, so we would touch our fingers through the cage.
Sonny is a caged, performing circus chimp. He doesn't have the same close family environment that Muggins has, nor the chimp company that Buddy has. And though Carrie is adamant Sonny is treated fairly, MAF admit to having concerns about his quality of life.
Sonny lives in a situation where all his basic needs are taken care of: his food, water, shelter, warmth. But what he does do is he does spend a lot of time on his own, obviously. Sure, he has contact with people that work in the circus and with caring. Chimpanzees, like humans, are not solitary animals. The worst thing that we can do to a human in a jail situation is to put that person into solitary confinement. That's a real punishment. I think that he needs to have been living in a social situation that he would be living in the wild.
We've had independent reports done by the SPCA on the psychological and physical health of our animals, and they've given us gleaming reports.
But some people think that Sonny's life is not good enough. Safe, who rescued Buddy from Samoa, are putting pressure on Carrie to give Sonny up.
Exploitation depends a great deal on how you look at it. I believe it's freedom of choice.
Because there are few laws controlling animals who perform in circuses, at present it does come down to a matter of choice.
Well, I think it's important to state with Sonny that he is owned by a circus operator. It's perfectly legal for him to have that animal, and I think we've got to be aware of that. And it's really up to him. The bottom line, if you like, is it's his decision.
As a fully mature and uncastrated chimp, Sonny's fate lies in the balance. Math, Safe and Carrie Ridgway are negotiating his future. In reality, there are few options for Sonny.
In the past, where we had chimpanzees that had gone past their use-by date, either they'd become too aggressive, too dangerous to handle. Probably the bottom line would have been euthanasia. But now, because of the number of chimp sanctuaries which have been set up in various places around the world, fortunately we now have this ability of relocating these sorts of animals.
Sending Sonny to a sanctuary is an option. But with massive costs and the logistics of sending a chimp halfway around the world, there are no guarantees. Even Sonny's owners say he doesn't belong in the circus.
No, we should save him.
But until his future is decided, 12-year-old Sonny will continue to perform for the crowd.